Good evening and welcome back to a second chance. My name is Philip Jones.
And my name is Tifiro Cook, two-time kidney transplant recipient and founder of Kidney Care Coaches, where we coach people with stage 3 to stage 5 kidney disease. If you or you know someone who has kidney disease and they need to be coached, hit us up at kidneycarecoaches.com.
And we have an awesome show for you all today. This wonderful women's panel. All three of these women of color have some kind of connection to the kidney disease world in some kind of way, form, or fashion. All three of these women are doing big things in the kidney community, and so we just want to kind of put that spotlight on them for a night and let them kind of tell about what they're doing, what they need, what they're looking forward to in the future. So we're gonna get straight into this. But before I do, apologize for the intro. I did this like 30 minutes ago. So Mr. Cook told you, ain't nobody perfect. We mess up in a lot of places we don't want to. And as you know, trying to be professional, that's definitely one place I did not want to. But I apologize. So we'll get into it with our first introduction. Will be Sharron.
Thank you so much and happy anniversary. Happy 1 year anniversary. I truly appreciate everything that you all are doing in the kidney community. You are leaving a mark that will never be erased. And it's a joy to be able to go back and hear the stories of so many people that are doing so many wonderful things in the community. So thank you for providing this platform. My name is Sharron Rouse, and I'm privileged to be among so many wonderful women here on the show tonight. I am a native of the Washington metropolitan area, born and raised in Maryland, about 20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C., just for a point of reference. I'm the proud wife and mother of one. And my kidney journey began in 2006. And I woke up one morning with swollen legs, not sure what was going on. I thought maybe, again, I worked in the school system, so I thought that maybe something had happened the night before with me being on my feet a lot, walking around in the school. I was a school counselor. So as you can imagine, I was all over the school to support the students and all of those things. And I ended up going to work because I felt okay. And I get to work and I decided to ask the school nurse what he thought was going on. And when I asked him, he said, "You need to get to the emergency room right away." And so that was my introduction into the kidney world. That was my introduction into finding out that I had FSGS kidney disease. Didn't have a family history of kidney disease. I wasn't familiar with dialysis, and I knew what it was, but I didn't know. So it really changed my whole world. And I don't regret any of my journey so far. But I mean, who would have thought that I would be in the kidney world? I was telling someone that today, like I have to kind of pinch myself like, Lord, is this really my reality? Because you just never know where your path is going to lead you. And so my journey began in 2006. I ended up on dialysis in 2012 and received a kidney from my sister, my dear sister Shantae in 2013. And so as a result of my journey, I used to sit in the dialysis chair and wonder how I could use my story to impact others. I said, Lord, this doesn't make sense. Why am I here? Why me? And basically I came to why not you? And I know some of you are affiliated with Why Not. So shout out to the Why Not Foundation. But that's where he brought me to, why not you? You can use your story to impact others. And basically, once I came out of myself, meaning I had to kind of surrender to my process and put Sharron aside to get the bigger picture for what was going on. um, I decided that my journey was not going to be in vain, that no matter what happened, I was going to raise my voice to ensure that, God forbid, if any of my family members came behind me and had to sit in a dialysis chair, or anyone that I knew, anyone that was connected to me, I said, oh no, I'm going to be a voice. I'm going to be able to support them. And so Kindness for Kidneys was born in 2018, December 2nd of 2018. And we launched it on our 5-year kidney anniversary anniversary. And our goals are to educate, empower, and encourage kidney warriors and their families. And so, I can go on and on. I know I have a short, brief introduction time. So I'll go more in depth when we get to the questions. But basically, we do what we need to do to support families. So not just the kidney warrior, because I remember what it was like watching my family walk through the journey with me. And so a huge part of what we do is not just about the warrior, but also about the village that's behind the warrior. Because if we can impact one of those lives, then we impact their spheres of influence as well. And so that's what we aim to do at Kindness for Kidneys. We've done a few efforts in our 3 years of existence, in stepping into the nonprofit world. And so I'm going to stop there. That's a brief introduction about Sharron and Kindness for Kidneys. And again, thank you so much and happy anniversary.
My bad, on mute. Thanks again, Sean. We appreciate you. And stories like that are kind of the main reason why me and Mr. Cook do what we do, is to be educational and preventive. Because we don't want you to get to you having to deal with organ failure, whichever type of organ failure you're dealing with, for you to have to start to learn about what you're dealing with. We want you to kind of know at least some basics before you get to that point, right? So you know how to make certain decisions and go left or right or whatever you do. So again, Sharon, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. I touched on something I said earlier, because Shonda is connected to the kidney world in some capacity, but she also touches a number of lives in other directions as well. So I'm gonna say these women touch lives in the transplant community in general. So with that being said,
Good evening, everyone. And thank you all for having me on your show. It's always interesting to be on this side of the mic as opposed to being the host. So I am the hostess with the mostest of Transplant Talk with Naishanda, and we stream on Facebook and we also stream on YouTube. So if you would like and subscribe and click that notification bell real quick, let's get that promo out there right now. So my journey started in 2000, actually to 2015, when I met my late husband. And during that time, I didn't know that my late husband needed a heart and a kidney. And so the journey began. So we met in 2015. We finally got married in 2017. We were to get married in October of 2016, actually 2016, but he had just had he had the LVAD placed into his chest. So unfortunately, we were unable to get married at that time. Howsoever, we did get married January 1st, and then he went into the hospital October 31st, and unfortunately, he never came home. So my journey then began as a widow. So my husband passed away one day after his birthday, which was April 24th was his birthday. He passed away on April 25th. And so I've been taking this journey with Save 1,000 Lives, because we were definitely in the trenches, getting people to understand how very important it is to become an organ donor. So in July of 2018, we became a nonprofit of Save 1,000 Lives. And our mission is to register 1,000 people to become organ donors in honor of my late sweet husband, Leonard Wayne Larramore. And so to begin this journey without him was very difficult, because I actually discovered it, or started our foundation while watching, and I'm not sure if everybody has seen it. I was watching a movie on Netflix, and at the time I was, God was like, please watch this movie. And I was like, God, no, I'm not here for it. I'm not trying to do it. And, you can listen to God either one or two ways. You can do it voluntarily or involuntarily. And so I listened, because I learned my lesson by not listening to God. So it's called A Question of Faith. And some things happened with it at the end of the movie. And, God was asking me, can you hear me now? So Save 1,000 Lives was actually written across the screen. And I was like, God, is that what you want me to do? And God said, yes. And so I was like, God, is it really you? And he said, listen to the last song of the movie, which was my theme song, Thank You, Lord, for All You've Done for Me. And so once I heard that, I said, okay, I know that this is real and this is something that I'm supposed to do. So I got in contact with everybody that I knew because God had already set me up and aligned me with the people that I needed to be aligned with. So we began the mission and the journey to save 1,000 lives and register 1,000 people. And then in 2020, we had the fabulous idea to do Transplant Talk with Naishanda, and we have done over 76 shows, and we are still going strong. I absolutely love what I do, and we want to be able to get the information out there. We want to be able to help the community, educate the community, especially in our multicultural communities. And we want to dispel all the myths about becoming an organ donor, registering to become an organ donor, or even understanding what living donors can do in order to help. So in any way that I can help, that's my mission, to be able to do that. So again, look for us on Facebook, Save 1,000 Lives. You can also look for us on YouTube again, Transplant Talk with Naishanda and Save 1,000 Lives on Facebook. And if you would like to be able to tell your story, Transplant Talk with Naishanda is there for you. So, hey, stay tuned because we have a lot more to come. And again, thank you all and happy anniversary.
Thank you, Naishanda. We're very happy that you're able to join us, and definitely go check out Save 1,000 Lives all over the place, Facebook, YouTube, all that. Get tapped in. Our next person is the first lady of kidney care coaches, the starter, the founder, Creamy Crack. Miss Cook, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. For Second Chance, congratulations. Happy first year anniversary. Kidney care coaches, much love goes out to you because I wouldn't be here doing what I do with Creamy Crack if it weren't for you pushing me. So I thank you and love you. And to the other young ladies, thank you for doing what you do. Ladies, continue to rule the world and rock. So continue rocking your purpose. Um, as I was introduced by Phil with Second Chance, I am Camille Cook, a nurse practitioner with a background in dermatology and cosmetic surgery. And I'm also the founder and CEO of Creamy Crack Body Cream, the all natural body cream that was started in 2011, actually. As a result of my son who suffered from eczema and my husband who is the two-time transplant survivor and was on dialysis for over 10 years. I first just obviously want to express the fact that our skin is our largest organ. I was going to make it a question out to everyone to ask them what their largest organ is, but because I came in with my intro of Creamy Crack Body Cream, you probably would have figured it out because I know you are all smart out there. But with our skin being our largest organ, it helps to regulate our body temperature, and it provides a sensation for heat and cold. It can help prevent pathogens and toxins from entering our body. So with that being said, my husband's skin was scaly, dry, flaky, itchy as a result of their xerosis, or the dryness, the uremic acid coming out onto his skin, the salts coming out on his skin when he was on dialysis. And my son, again, he was scaly and itchy and inflamed from his eczema. So with my background in dermatology, I knew that I just could not sit back and let them just scratch in pain. I had to figure out a way to provide them some relief. And being in derm and seeing what we would lead our patients with just wasn't cutting it. It was always, let's give them steroids, which can thin the skin over time, and let's give them a petroleum jelly. I wanted something that was going to be more healthier, more conducive to the skin, and be a lot more sensitive and better for the environment and for the patient. So once the skin barrier has been damaged, we're left with viruses or harmful bacteria and pollutants that can get in the skin and can change a lot of things for a person, period. Because if we don't have skin, where would we live, right? Where would our body live if we don't have skin? So with that being said, again, it being our largest protective barrier, we have to do what's right, which is take care of it. So with Creamy Crack Body Cream, me producing the product that is 98% organic, natural, provided a world of relief for both my son and my husband. And then doing a focus group with 40 people, I found that it has helped in numerous areas, from beard oil to the scalp to post-surgical wounds. Again, if you've had surgeries, most dermatologists will say, put an antibiotic ointment on it, on your surgical site, and some Aquaphor. Well, we found from, again, doing my focus group and from some of the customers that have suffered from cancer, doing radiation, that my product has provided them healing and relief from the pain of radiation, as well as tattoo aftercare, sunburn, windburn, again, any type of excoriations or scratches or rashes that you have on your body. It has provided relief and also healing. So I would love for everyone to follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Creamy Crack Body Cream. And if you would like to purchase, you can go to creamycrackbodycream.com. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna go ahead. We like to get straight to these questions. So, Mr. Cook, take it away, sir.
Wonderful stories, man. Phenomenal, and way to make an impact in the community. In the kidney world. Sharonda, you and I have been talking forever, and I never, heard your story. And me and you been on podcasts and everything, webinars and stuff, and I never heard your story, and that was remarkable. So, just tell us a couple little things that you do. What Kidney for Kindness do in the community.
Sure. So it's Kindness for Kidneys. And it's funny because I never really had a plan of what we were going to do starting out. I just knew that I wanted to bring awareness so that the community, especially in our community, the African-American community, and just in communities of color in general, typically we're not aware of some of the things that are out there. Sometimes the access is not there. And so we started out, I wanted to go back to my facility, my dialysis facility, to encourage the people that I had just come off the chair with being. I wanted to go back and encourage them, and also to thank my technicians and nurses and doctors for how they cared for me during one of my most difficult times. And so we launched December 2nd, 2018. At the launch, we collected hats, scarves, gloves, neck pillows, all kinds of stuff for kidney warriors. And my goal was to take it to them so that they could, just know that they're thought about. When you're sitting in a dialysis chair during the holidays, it really makes you feel some type of way. It really makes you consider your life. It really makes you consider why you're going through what you're going through. And so you just consider a lot of different things. And so that was what I thought about. Like, I want to just go back and let them know that, hey, there are people out here that are praying for you, that are thinking about you. You're not in that chair by yourself. And so that's what we did. We went to the facility. We bought bags, Kindness for Kidneys bags, and stuffed them with all of the things that were donated. And we took them and we sang Christmas carols to the warriors that were walking in and out of the facility. And so as a result of that, we begin to expand. So we started with my facility. It was a huge hit. They really felt comforted. Many of them expressed, like, I just thank you. Like, I feel like we don't get enough attention. And so that helped us to continue to spread. And so since then, we've done different things. Of course, when COVID hit, we couldn't go and sing Christmas carols. What we ended up doing is sending Christmas meals to the facility, and they were already packaged and everything. We partnered with Magic Kitchen, which they specialize in special diets, so diabetic diets, dialysis diets, post transplant diets. And so we ship meals with the help of the community to the facilities during COVID, and have been for the last 2 years. We also host support groups monthly. And so that was one thing that we wanted to impact the Maryland area. And that was one thing that had to pivot. We started March 8th with our first meeting. It was a huge success. And then COVID hit the very next week. So as you can imagine, we were like, really? Oh my goodness. But it ended up being a blessing in disguise, because now we have people join our meetings from all over, not just in Maryland. And so we've been able to expand our reach and be able to impact other families as a result of that. We also hold informal kidney conversations with families. And so sometimes I'll have people call and say, hey, my husband has just been diagnosed with kidney disease. He's getting ready to start dialysis. I feel helpless. Can you just help us? And so what we suggest is, why don't we facilitate a family meeting? And that way, again, it does take a village to walk through this journey. And so we facilitate family meetings where we'll get on Zoom, and sometimes my sister's involved if they're looking to go towards transplantation, and we'll share our story. We'll answer any questions that the family may have, but it's a more intimate space where it's just family. And sometimes when you're in your kidney journey, you have a hard time communicating what you're going through. Sometimes you don't want to tell people what you're going through. And so it's a way for us to kind of help you tell your story to your family, and also be that middleman for you so that you're not uncomfortable. And so we host informal kidney conversations with families at their request. And we get on, we talk about our transplant journey. We answer any questions that they may have, any myths that they may have heard about kidney transplantation. We're able to kind of dispel some of those myths. And so we're also working on some educational types of initiatives right now, but those are our three main initiatives. And so thank you so much.
Wow, that's big, especially when you can give the community, well, not just the community, but the people on dialysis a voice. Because again, when you're sitting in that chair, or you're doing peritoneal dialysis at home, again, I always say it feels like you're sitting on that island by yourself. Like, man, is anybody hearing me? And that voice gets lost. So that's pretty impactful what you guys are doing in the DC area. That's awesome. Naishanda, can you tell us some things you're doing in the community, also in Jacksonville and things like that?
Well, just like Kindness for Kidneys, COVID, stopped a lot of our being able to move about freely in the city. Just recently, I did actually was able to talk to some of my students at my high school on a Saturday, and to get them to drop the seed so it can grow, about becoming an organ donor. So I, put packages together, and I put information in a little baggie for them. And I gave my story about how important and how impactful it would have been for someone to be that life-saving person for my husband. And unfortunately, with him being 6'1" and 300 pounds plus, and being a former NFL player, this was it was very difficult. So I like for them to not just maybe hear about it, but to see someone in person, to be able to say, well, this is how it changed my life. And clearly it had to be that way, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it did not happen. Life probably would be, not probably, but it really would be different. So just being able to go into the schools, go into the churches, when I have the opportunity, being on different, podcasts such as this, however it is I could do it, I do, So, but because of, the restrictions and everything here, in Jacksonville is very limited on what I can do. Howsoever, I do have some milestones that we reach, and it definitely was a goal of mine to be a part of the MLK parade, and I was able to do that in January. It was gold, but just to be a part of that parade where all the people were looking at the car, because my good friend Derek, got us a drop top. Um, Hold on, it was one of those expensive cars. But he got us one of those Maserati. It was a drop top Maserati, and so everybody was looking at the car and reading the sign. So we wanted to get your attention and grab it at the same time, and so just being in that number, it was unbelievable. It was definitely a dream that I had. I said, "Look, one day, Save 1,000 Lives is going to be there," and we were. So that definitely, it just tickled me that I said I'm going to do it, and we actually did. I also was one of the first people to actually host, not last year but the year before. I actually did a telethon. So we did a telethon for about 5 hours, and I had people from all over area codes to come on the show and just give their story so that they can see how impactful it was. So we wanted to honor deceased donors, people that gave up their lives, and became organ donor to save some people, and just to honor them in that special way. And I'm going to do it again. And I'm looking at August 6th to do our next telethon. We were able to raise money for a transition house here in Jacksonville, Florida, called Gabriel House. And so we were able to give a small donation to Gabriel House on behalf of Save 1,000 Lives. And Gabriel House is a facility that hosts transplant survivors. So once they receive a transplant, heart, kidney, liver, what have you, and they don't live here in Jacksonville, Florida, then they're able to stay at Gabriel House. And so I'm going to say, and everybody doesn't know, but by 2023, there will be a Larramore House. So I can be able to help and impact more people as well. So when I say I got dreams and I have goals and aspirations, my husband's name will never be forgotten. So that's what we're doing.
That's awesome to hear, man. Especially when you talked about with your husband, you could put a face on it, put a face on what's going on, and that's big because a lot of times people say, "Oh, he's a transplant recipient," blah blah blah, but you don't see the face. And with the MLK parade with the Maserati, I know y'all was flossing to the max. Okay, I ain't mad at that.
But it was cold. It was cold.
But you were still flossing though, so I ain't mad at you.
I was.
Right. One thing I like about what you talked about is you talked about setting the intention and following through. And that's big because I believe when you set your intention, the universe gets you on the piggyback and push you during that way, doing what you got to do. And that's awesome. And raising money with the telethon, that's big, man. And then you're going to do it on August 6th. I hope that goes well because August 6th is my birthday. So I'm looking for that. Yeah, I might have to come up there and check y'all out on that for real.
Listen, everybody on this panel right now is invited August 6th. Okay. So get ready.
We appreciate that.
All right.
Camille Cook, my wife, man, like I said, she's always when we first started, she was in the kitchen cooking her syrup and doing her thing. And it was funny because me and my son and all of us was stealing it. And she was like, people want that. I'm like, shoot, I need that. That stuff is like moisture to my skin. It was like slice of oil to me. It was wonderful. Can you tell us some of the feedback you've been getting from, what people are saying about the product and everything about Creamy Crack and things like that?
Sure, I can. First, I want to say how it got the name or was coined the term creamy crack is because, just like Tifiro said, his body was craving it. He was addicted to it. He was kind of like, if you guys remember the movie Jungle Fever, when Samuel Jackson was Gator and he was like dancing for his mom and was kind of like, can I get that? Can I get that? That was him. He was all about, let me get that. And my son was like, Mom, I don't want to use any other lotions or creams. Can you, make some more? And they did not know the time and the effort that it took to make it. But it warmed my heart, the fact that they enjoyed, they found relief, and they were wanting to share it with other people. So it was the neighbors and it was families and everything else. So even though I started making it, I was whipping my crack up in the kitchen in 2011. It just came to out to the world, to people, 2021. So I've been so fortunate to receive so many testimonials from people, because it's great for everybody. Get it? Dun. But anyway, it has found its way into obviously my I'm near and dear to those who suffer from chronic kidney disease. Can you guys still hear me? I
Yes,
can't
we
hear
hear you.
anyone.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we hear
sorry.
you. We hear you.
Okay. Okay. Those who suffer with chronic kidney disease that are on dialysis, those who suffer from eczema, and or those cancer patient who are going through radiation or who have had surgery. So receiving some testimonials just here recently from a woman who said that she used it on her son's acne scarring. He was 15, didn't want to use anything because nothing else had worked. And she sent me a testimony, and she said, now I have to say that my son is officially a crack addict. So that I just kind of had to chuckle about that. And she said, thank you so very much. This product is amazing. I've had a young lady who reached out to me and said it worked from the rooter to the tutor. And if you can read between the lines, basically her hemorrhoids, it stopped that. Psoriasis, it has helped. Then I had a young lady, which I would love to show you guys a picture, and I don't know if it will do its justice. Let me see if you guys can see this. This was a young lady who was a survivor. Can you see it?
Yeah, we just said.
Okay, so unfortunately, this is her breast. She's She's receiving radiation treatment, so that is her breast on the side from this side from the radiation. And then she was using what her doctors told her, which was to use aquaphor or petroleum-based vitamin E, and then she was trying some Neosporin, and she had been using that for 4 months. And after 3.5 weeks using the creamy crack, it healed her breast up to just a very, very small, minute area that you can, I don't know if you can see, there's a glare on it.
We're getting a glare.
So she said, okay, can you see it now?
Yeah, we just said.
Yeah.
Better. Okay, so just has that very small little area right here up on her breast, and then up underneath that still needs to be healed, but that was after 3.5 weeks. And so she just said, just thank you so very much for sealing. Creamy Crack body cream was not the word that she would have used to name my product. She said she wanted it to be Creamy Crack Healing Cream, because that's what it has done. It has healed her. It has improved her self-confidence and her self-esteem as a result, and relieved her pain and healed her. So my other testimonial that is actually on my website was another young lady who had a bilateral mastectomy. Both of her breasts were gone. And actually there was just another order placed from her today. She has been using it. She went into her doctor after both of her breasts being removed, the bilateral mastectomy, and the doctor said, you healed so well. What have you been using? She's in Atlanta, Georgia. She told him, and he said, we really need to talk to this young lady. So that's my mission. And I say that, if you live with purpose, you know where you want to go. But if you live with priority, you'll know what to do when you get there. And so I want Creamy Crack to become not only a household name, but to continue making a difference in the lives of those people who I started out with, which was, eczema, chronic kidney disease, and moving on and branching out to those who I can help in the cancer space and psoriasis and, even the tattoo aftercare and any surgical procedures. So there you have it.
Man, that's wonderful. And what's crazy about the Creamy Crack is even with the clients I work with kidney care coaches, we always send them some. And they're always asking me, man, I need some more of that stuff. I need some more. So I got orders to put out, because people want it so much. And it's a wonderful serum. Phil could tell you too, because I sent Phil some. He likes it as well. So, but Phil, go ahead, man. Do your questions, dog. Do your thing, baby.
Still 1 second. Let me get this back together. All right. So this question is for Sharron and Camille. I have a different question for Naishanda because she kind of already touched on this already. But for Sharron, where do you see your brand being at in 5 to 10 years? What do you see yourself have accomplished in this time with your brand, whether it's inside or partnering with someone, and just elevating what you have? Because all three of you have something so great that can definitely change the world in a number of different ways. So, what kind of, I guess you could say, dreams and admirations and goals and achievements you're looking forward to accomplishing in the next 5 years? It doesn't be 10 years, that's a long gap, but 5 or 10, depending on kind of where you're thinking.
So my dream for Kindness for Kidneys is to open Kindness for Kidneys health centers around the world. And so in 5 years, I'd like to have at least one facility erected and servicing a community. And so when I think about a health center, a lot of times when you have a disease, you treat the symptoms. You never really get to the root. You kind of treat the symptoms. So if your kidneys aren't working, you go get dialysis, but that becomes the focus. You don't focus, on some of the things that you can do naturally to help with depression, to help with some pain and things like that. And so the Kindness for Kidneys Health Center would be a one-stop shop for everything but dialysis. So it would be a place where kidney warriors and their families would come to learn about other natural services and natural pathic types of things that they can do to treat some of the things that they'll face when they're faced with kidney disease and dialysis. It would be a space that anyone could come and benefit from the services, but our services would be geared towards kidney warriors and their families. And so it would be a space to come and have services such as acupuncture, reflexology, fitness classes, anything that has to do with your well-being, not just your physical well-being, but also your mental and spiritual well-being. This would be a one-stop shop for that. I think about some of the things that helped me on my journey. And so I want to be able to provide that to the community. It would also be a place for job searching. When you start dialysis, sometimes you can't work. For some people, depending on the field that you're in. I'm thinking about a guy now who's in construction, and it's really taking a toll on him doing some of the work that's required for construction and being on dialysis. So someone like him would benefit from a different path or a temporary path. If he decided he wanted to go back to construction after transplant or do something different, but it would be a place of helping those that are dealing with kidney failure, kidney disease, and finding them work that's suitable for their condition during that time. And so it'd be a one-stop shop for everything but dialysis. I didn't want to mix the two because sometimes people walking into a dialysis facility, it's not a good feeling all the time, and it's not a place that they really want to be. And so this would be a space that they would come to. Aside from that, it would be a space where group therapy would take place. Therapy would take place there as well. So it'd be a one-stop shop for dealing with some of the things that you deal with when you're faced with kidney disease and kidney failure. So it would be for the warriors as well as their families. I always say the caregiver has it harder than the actual patient in some cases. And so equipping them and helping them with some of their self-care needs would be just as vital as helping the kidney warrior.
Awesome, awesome. I commend you on that, and you're right. It's you have to kind of separate that world from dialysis because it's two different things. I don't know if you've seen the last King Kong Godzilla movie. It was a part in where they kind of like switched worlds, and everything basically kind of like turned upside down in a sense. So it's not the same at all. To try to be kind of healthcare, and then that's why they have dialysis centers on their own, as opposed to connected to other medical facilities, things like that. They have their own centers for these specific things. So definitely my head goes off to you. Ms. Cook, what about yourself?
I would like to see Creamy Crack become a household name, one, but two, I would like it to be able to just continue making a difference in the lives of those who really, really, really need it. And those are my people who have chronic conditions that haven't been able to find relief in anything else. So that would be in this actually upcoming year. I hope to be on Amazon. So where people can purchase it from there. And then also it's going to be unfolding in Shopify. But I would like to be able to get into the dialysis centers and being able to market to those patients there so that they can try it, use it, find some relief and or benefit from it as well. But with COVID happening, that's not possible. So me having to work with primary care physicians and people, individual self who reach the masses, just become word of mouth and marketing at this point. So with the likes of Ms. Sharron and Naishanda, it would be, I'd be grateful for them to be able to work along with them, collab with them, and be able to provide it to some of their patients or clients or interactions with people who need it as well.
Awesome, awesome. I'm gonna give you a small gem. This for everybody, really. So what I found out over the past year, right? Trying to get in touch with different people in kidney departments and dialysis centers and things like that, right? You can't give up. Sometimes you email one person or two people, and you don't answer back. You get no reply. You're like, man, they're not even answering me. What I realize is that there are those people who follow rules, and those are people who want to help. And if you get into those people who want to help, they're in these positions, you'll get in there. I give you a small example. A hospital out here we were trying to get in touch with to do some things with, and I mean I emailed and called probably about 5 people, and all of a sudden I got an email from Edward with an email from a guy from that same. But you could tell the difference because his email coming to me was like cheerful, like, yeah, we appreciate it, we want to do this, we love to. So, you have those ones who they want to help, but they're more worried about following the rules than the ones who want to help and don't mind doing what they need to do to help these kids or help adults or whatever the case may be. So, when you're in those situations, don't give up. You keep fighting, you keep emailing, you keep calling. It's gonna take some time. Trust me. I mean, granted, because I had a whole bunch of time to wait, so it seemed like it was doing nothing for me. I was just calling and emailing. All right, it's my day. But you definitely have to continue to keep that mindset of where you started from. What was your mindset at when you said, oh, I want to start Creamy Crack? I want to make a difference. I want to start kindness for kidneys and built this facility to be able to help people or save 1,000 lives. Man, that's a great save 1,000. I thought my name was great with a second chance, but save 1,000 lives has a lot of meaning to it, you know. So definitely continue to keep thriving and want to do what you're set out to do. Ms. Larramore, my question for you is different from the two previous ladies. Is can you? And it's not really a question; it's more of a statement. But can you kind of speak a little bit about your husband and who he was?
Absolutely. That's the number one thing I love to do is speak about that man. Um, Honestly, he was the love of my life, and when I met him, he just was different. It was something about this man, and when we first met, I was like, Lord, what you doing, Lord? Look, I'm about 150, and it's a 300-pound man. And I'm looking at him and looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I was like, oh, sir, well, what do you want me to do, Lord? And God spoke to me, and He said, just love him. And that's exactly what I did. My husband, we both were we both were divorced. And so this was our second marriages. We've had our kids. I wasn't having any more because I was like, you a big man and there was no baby coming from you with me. That's a big old baby. And jokingly with him, that's what I told him. But I'd have did anything for him. The way he loved me, the way he loved my family, the way he loved my children, it was it no words can describe the type of love that this man he showed me. And I will tell him all the time, I never knew I needed protection the way I needed protection until I met him. And so all the love that he gave me, all the prayers that he prayed for me, just made me love him even harder. With being in the NFL, they did a lot of heavy training and lift a lot of weights, and so some of those things just really his affected his body. When I met him, he did not tell him. I met him in March of 2015, and I didn't know until November that this was a problem that he had. And and he really wasn't trying to tell me. It was his friend that told me, like, hey, he's sick. And I'm like, let me run this back with God, because I know you ain't have me fall in love with this man for me to not have him in my life. Like, that's not making sense to me. And God again said, just love him. And my husband tried to give me a way out. After that, shortly, he said, listen, this is going to be hard for you. And I don't want you to have to go through this. And I looked at him and, sir, I'm not going anywhere. What are you talking about? I love you now. Where you going? So we're going to stand 10 toes down. What you doing? Whatever you're doing, I'm right there with you. We had an understanding with each other that if he passed away, so let me back up. So we had a pact that we were in a win-win situation. Let me make it make sense. So if he passed away and went to be with the Lord, he wins. If he received a transplant and he got to be with me and stay with me, then we win. And so as long as we understood that, then I was okay. Then I was okay with him, leaving. And so shortly before he really got sick and was what he developed, that the sickness, the illness that he did, that just kind of started shutting down his organs. My husband told me, he said, look, don't come out here, don't come out here tomorrow. I'm going to go and have a talk with my God, because I know he doesn't want me to be in this pain. And so being a wife and respecting his wishes, I did what he asked. I never asked him what was his conversation with the Lord. And I just let that be between him and God. And I just wanted to respect his wishes. In the end, I thought it was, he was supposed to be in my life until the end of my life, but I was supposed to be in his life until the end of his. So when that wonderful man left this earth in the hospital room. I know we broke some kind of code. We had to have broke some kind of law in that hospital, because I promise you it was over 30 people in that room. And I thanked him for loving me the way that he did, and allowing me to just be his wife by choosing me. I thanked him. And everybody in the room was there, and it was almost if like they wasn't there, but they were there. And okay, I wasn't expecting this question, but that's why I tell you to do these pre-interviews, so I know what to be prayed up, so I know what to pray for and have strength for it. But Leonard Wayne Larramore was definitely the love of my life. I wouldn't trade the world for the time that we had, because my husband prayed for me. He protected me. He told everybody. He professed how much he loved me. He was my prayer partner. He was my workout partner. And he was all my P's. So I'm grateful, and thank you for allowing me to just talk about him just one more time. Thank you.
That's what you call realness.
Go ahead.
See, that's why this works. We said the same thing without even talking about it. But I would not want you to hold that back. We need to see what that makes you feel like, and we need people to understand why you do save 1,000 lives, and you keep fighting this to get people to be organ donors, and why you're deciding to extend this man's legacy of who he is. People need to understand those reasons and see it come from you. I don't want you to hold that back. I want you to let that out, because it means a lot. It means just as much as the story. So, Mr. Cook, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, that was very powerful, man. I don't even know what to say about that. That was powerful. But Sharron, this question goes out to you, and the question is, about depression, and I can relate to depression when I was on dialysis. I admit there were some depressing times on dialysis, and the question I had is, once you got over that depression, what was that defining moment in your life? Like, you know what, I'm standing up, and I'm saying, why not me? And let me just do what I got to do to help everybody else in this situation. So can you elaborate on that for us?
Absolutely. I'm still overwhelmed by Naishanda's story. So bear with me. I'm like, wow. It speaks to the power of God and what can happen when you dedicate your life to God. And so thank you, Naishanda, for all that you're doing. I'm completely overwhelmed by your story, and just grateful that you're taking your pain and using it in your purpose. And so thank you. But I would say, I tell people all the time, when you get a diagnosis like chronic kidney disease, or when you're told you need to go on dialysis, there's a grief process that takes place. And you go through a myriad of emotions. The life that you once knew is then going to change, and become unfamiliar to what you're used to. And so for me, I had to come to a place of acceptance first. And so I went through the phases. I was angry. I was in denial. There were a couple of surgeries that I skipped out on, where my doctor was trying to get me to be on peritoneal dialysis and skip crashing into hemo, but I was in denial, and my confession was, that is not God's will for my life. And so I didn't show up for the peritoneal surgery, and I just said, I want to go and try some other things first. So I went through a myriad of emotions until I came to a place of acceptance with what was going on. So I surrendered to the process. There's a surrendering that has to take place in order to get to that place of acceptance, saying, this is what's going on. This is what I'm faced with. If this is what God allowed, then clearly I'm going to make it through. And so that's where the awakening happened. It was in my place of surrendering to say, I don't have the answers. I don't understand what's going on. God, you do. And so I know I trust you. And so I have to trust you in this situation, and use what use what God has allowed to help someone else. And it really, Tifiro, is a stepping out of yourself, is getting out the way. When you surrender to something, you put down your plan, you put down your goals or things that you had in mind for your life, and you give it over to God. And so that's what I had to do. I had to take Sharron out of it. I had to say, I'm walking into this dialysis facility not just for me, but for the people that I will encounter there that may never step foot in the church. And so as a believer, I we always say, God, here I am, send me. This is, but what if it lands you into a dialysis chair? Then what are you going to do? That's when you really apply the things that you learn in the Bible and the Word of God. And so for me, it was a chance for me to take myself out of it. Part of being a believer is dying to self so that you can live in Christ. And so for me, it was a dying to Sharron. It was a taking me out of the equation so that God could use me in that way. And so he did just that. But again, I had to get out of the way in order for that to happen. So when you talk about depression and things like that, and for me, as a believer, someone else may not be a believer, but it is still a surrendering to your process that has to take place. And so the way that I got over it was through my faith. I know that other people may do other things, but it does boil down to accepting that this is what's going on. And I'm going to take these steps to ensure that no matter how bumpy the road or the roller coaster ride that I'm on, I'm going to be a participant in my own rescue. I'm not waiting, for the doctors to have a magic wand or anything like that. I'm going to do everything in my power to still live a quality life. I'm going to find out the information that I need to find out. So basically, I'm taking responsibility. And I think that will help with the depression piece. You also may need to seek medical attention in that area as well. And so, coming to a place of acceptance and surrendering brings you to, okay, now what are the solutions going to be?
That's big, man. And like you said, you took yourself out, and that's what you call a real faith walk right there, where you just got to walk by faith. You don't have no sight. And that's the kind of way I felt, when I was on dialysis. I did peritoneal and hemo. So I can definitely agree with you on that. It's like, okay, I'm walking in here, but I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going to use the faith in it. And the faith just guides you to where you want to be. That's big. This question goes out to Camille right here. Let me ask you, how did Creamy Crack evolve? This is like a two-part question. How did Creamy Crack evolve? And what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome and to bring Creamy Crack to where it is right now?
Well, it started producing or coming about in 2011, like I said, and it was kind of me working with different all natural products, organic products, just to see which ones would mix correctly, which ones would penetrate the skin, which ones would kind of give some moisture and not drying effect, because a lot of products out there have preservatives and glycerin and alcohol in them that will dry the skin even more. And that's not what I was trying to do for Bryce, our son, and for you, because I knew that, drying your skin out was going to be even more damaging and cause even more breakdown and more problems associated to what I was trying to overcome, which is to heal you guys, or to give you some relief. The challenges that I overcame was saying, okay, you know what? I really want to make this perfect. And we know that there's no such thing as perfection, but because I wanted it to be able to make a difference and wanted people to get the relief and to be able to heal, kept striving, pushing, and truly relentless with trying to get that product to my satisfaction and to as close to perfection as possible. I had to overcome my own limiting of, there's there's so many products out there that are already providing those with eczema relief. Even though I went through countless things for our son, I was just kind of like, you know what, this is a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. And I finally had to sit back and say, but you're doing it for our son. And then when you said, hey, let me try some of that. And I started trying different products on you. I'd say, come here, give me your arms. Come here, let me see those, the chicken skin that you had and you were itching. And I would be trying different things on you. I was kind of like, okay, the mad scientist saying, okay, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And I just didn't want to give up because that's not who I am. Going through nurse practitioner school, being a wife, being a mom, owning my own med spa, working often 14 hours in my med spa, trying to help patients, skin of color, overcome their challenges with dark spots or hyperpigmentation and scratching and relief of things that I would do surgically wise. I just had to continue pushing through and just keep trying various things, and it's still a work in progress. I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with it, but I don't know. I'm just always trying to improve. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that was great. That's funny because I remember every time I turned around, you was grabbing me like, here, give me your arm. Put this on your arm. Put this on your arm. And then I'll be sitting in the kitchen. You come here with hands full of this stuff, talking about, and start rubbing my legs. I'll be like, dang, there's creamy crack everywhere. And I remember, when you first started, making it, now you have a place where they're making it and things like that. But our kitchen was full of stuff, you know what I'm saying? She was in there. It looked like weird science almost, if you will, man. But it's all working out, and I love it, man. I do love the product. It's crazy. I wouldn't use nothing else, man. I love it that much. Naishanda, this question goes out to you. Now, with the foundation and everything, what were some of the challenges? Because we get emotional, like we get pumped up, like, oh, I'm gonna start this nonprofit, and then sometimes things beat you down a little bit. They kind of hit you in the head, roadblocks and things like that. What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome to create this nonprofit? And because I know you had a great vision and everything, but what were some of those challenges?
Well, if I'm honest, one of the challenges was understanding that my husband was gone. And once, and sometimes we're in March, so we are approaching year number 4 next month of his passing. So you have to kind of know the backstory as well to know that he passed away his birthday was 24th. He passed away on the 25th. I had to bury him. So in May, May is my birthday. So we had to do Mother's Day. We had to do my birthday. And then we had to do Father's Day. So it was, me being obedient and watching that movie. And I didn't know anything about how to even start a nonprofit. I did not know. So there was a lot of, hey, tell me what to do. Hey, you have it. So sit down. Even though I'm an educator, I put myself in a posture of listening and learning. So I got with some local groups here in Jacksonville, and I sat down with a friend of the Urban League, and he sat down and he walked me through the entire process. So, I heard a pastor here, Pastor Guns here. He's not my pastor, but he was on the radio one day, and I was going to the store and I heard him say, now, let me tell you something. God is not going to wait for you to heal in order to use you. And I was like, oh my God. He said, what? And yeah, he said it one more time. I'm not going to wait for you to heal in order to use you. There are some things that you need to do. And I said, okay. So I got on it. I knew that it was my mission to make this happen. I just knew it. So anybody that I could just sit there and, and almost just be at their feet and just put myself in that posture of you're going to learn and you're going to do it. And that's really what it took. It took obedience. It took a lot of praying. And of course, it took some money, but out of all of this, it birthed more things. So not only do I have Save 1,000 Lives, but yes, I have Transplant Talk with Naishanda, but I also have my women's group called Widows. And it stands for Women Intentionally Discovering Our Way Without Our Children and Without Our Husbands. So when I got with some more ladies that were widows, we started talking about our widowhood and what it took. So that was another thing that was birthed out of all of this pain, with God. Like she said, God took my mess. He took a mess and gave it a message, and he took that pain and gave it purpose. And so all of those things he did, it was all ordained and designed by God. And I cannot take any credit for it. I can only say, hey, I had to listen. And when God speaks to you, you surely better listen. And it would be those mornings, it's that 2, 3 in the morning or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, knock at the door like, oh Lord, I know it's only you, because only you gonna come into my heart at 3, 4 in the morning, where my heart and mind is clear. So if anybody was even grappling with that, like why I can't sleep, sometimes it's God trying to tell you something. Trust me, sometimes it's God trying to tell you something. So that was my labor of love to get my nonprofit. I started and just going around the city and doing all those things, whatever it is I could do, I did. So getting your heart and your mind right and making sure that the message that you hear was clear from God. I was connected with the right people, and we actually made it happen. So I'm super grateful for my obedience and having the discipline to listen to God and fulfilling that. What he wanted me to do.
That's huge, man. I just wrote down what you said. I'm not going to wait for you to heal to use you. That was very, very powerful. And like I tell Phil, when Phil and I always talk, I go, Phil, the changes are going to come from the ground roots, the people on the ground making the movement. And I never forget, I was speaking in Columbus one time, and a doctor from NYU, she came up to me and she said, Tifiro, what you're doing is you're doing groundwork. And that's how the AIDS epidemic came, and they started making changes because people were on the ground doing the work, and that's what we need. And that saying right there is powerful. And like you just also said, you said, you was going around the city doing all kinds of things, and that's big. Just like I see Kindness for Kidneys. She's in DC doing things all the time, moving and shaking and baking for people to become organ donors and things like that. Phil, can you bring everybody back in? The camera? Yeah. Again, man, these movements are big, to see them and watch them grow into these big things. It's almost like me watching somebody water a small little plant, and then all of a sudden you see them just blossom out into these big things. And again, when you see these lovely ladies doing all this great work, the universe picks you up and starts, bringing people to you and bringing things to you and everything to make your dream a real fruition and grow and grow and grow. I just want to say thank you for tonight. We're out of time, and thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. It was wonderful. Phil, go ahead and say what you got to say, boss.
Not used to this mute button. But Ms. Cook's pretty much said it all. We're, very grateful that the three of you ladies were able to join us tonight, and tell your stories, admirations, goals, and speak on things that are very important. You can connect it to the transplant community and why you do what you do. So, as a second chance, we just ask that you continue doing what you're doing. And like Ms. Cook said, moving the needle in the right direction, because you're definitely a part of that. And just like, it's this panel is very equivalent to the panel we just had on Monday, which was a men of color panel. And, we said that if you're not going to see this every day. You're not even gonna see this once a month. So watch it, take a look at it, learn from it, because there's certain dreams and aspirations that certain other people may not have, that may not put the work in for the dreams, admirations that we have as individuals and people of color. So definitely, like Ms. Cook said before, like, share, subscribe, not only the Second Chance, but to these three ones as well. I'll be getting that information put in the description so you can get it. And we appreciate you all. We'll see you tomorrow. We got Alex Rosa coming in tomorrow to give a presentation. Very grateful for her to come in. It's National Women's Month, which is why everybody gonna see this month on Second Chance Women. So there'll either be women and connected to kidney transplant or kidney awareness, or a woman just in general. This Sunday we have DJ Durant, who's a part of she's an Air Force vet. She does big things in mental health awareness as well. And she has her own show also on like LinkedIn, YouTube also. So we'll get into that. So definitely hope all the women have a great month, safe months, great life. We appreciate you all. We love you all. We are mothers, sisters, cousins, and things of that nature. So we definitely appreciate you. Have a great night. Thanks again, ladies. Mr. Cook, I'll see you.